You know that moment when a hit just feels right? When you already know how the enemy will react the instant your next ability connects. And for a split second, nothing can distract you. You could treat taking damage like a math problem. Take your health, subtract a number, and move on. But the combat feeling that comes from those hits, that is never that simple. In my 2D fighting game, all those systems run through one damage interface. And today, I'm finally putting it together. Hello there, I'm Mysterious. I'm building a 2D game in Unreal Engine 5 and untangling the spaghetti along the way. Every good fighting game has one thing in common. Getting hit feels expensive. It isn't just losing health, it's your combo getting interrupted, losing the position you just earned, and watching the upper hand slip away. I used to ignore these systems completely, because if they work well, you don't really notice them. You only notice them when they suck, like leaving you too exposed when you attack. My goal for now isn't a perfect system. It's a functional core that feels decent and is easy to change in the future as I learn. So how does this interface work? To put it into simple terms, it's like a personality trait. Imagine being able to create a personality trait, customizing it however you want, then slapping that personality trait to whoever you want to have it. Well, my personality trait is the ability to take damage, and I wanted to customize how taking damage would feel to whoever I burned it with. I want a few things to happen when someone or something gets hit. It should show that it's in pain. It should get knocked back with a specific force and direction. It should actually lose health. It should be briefly immune so that it doesn't get shredded by the same hit 10 times. And speaking of time, it should look like it gets stuck in time for a moment. Enemies? Slap that trait on them. Summons? Give it to them. Mirror image? Why not? Objects? Kind of. The same logic technically works for them, but I'll probably tweak it so boxes don't go flying halfway across the map before exploding. At least for now. First, I had to build a structure that would carry all the information I wanted. A little package that carries all the info a hit needs. Damage, hit stun, hit stop, knockback force, knockback direction, iframe direction, and a flag for does this pipe pass iframes. Then I started wiring the functions, starting with the one that confused me the most at the time. Start hit stop. Its whole job is to remember the current time dilation, set a new one for a short period, then restore it. This time dilation only affects the one getting hit. All the animations and movements slow down. If the timing is right, hits feel more powerful. If it's too long, it looks like you get a brain aneurysm after every jab. And then comes the function you have seen in the intro, the enter hurt state. This one was a struggle to both learn and build. Thinking about force and direction in games has always fried my brain. I'm sure you remember. However, I made it easier. Not only for you to see, but for me to understand. I pretty much turned every calculation and variable that needed a result into their own functions. Quick reminder if you've never coded. All of this happens in milliseconds. The order of nodes in the blueprint graph is about logic, not first this happens on the screen and then that. When a hit is accepted, here's the order. We play the hurt animation, we start the hit stop or the time dilation, which ends on its own after a few milliseconds. We resolve the hit direction, left, right, up, down, depending on where the hit landed or what the ability wants. We turn that into a velocity by multiplying the direction with knockback force. And we launch the poor bastard. At the same time, we enable a short window of iframes and start a timer for when the hurt state should end. That was way easier to explain than I originally thought. I did run into a minor problem though, and it is with the logic I had months ago when I actually first made the clunky combat and animation system. For some reason, whenever I was successfully hit and knocked back, I couldn't move anymore. You see, I made some movement and action blockers whenever I would get hurt, so that I can't run or hit while I'm getting hit. But I always turned them off separately after the hit ended. In this new damage trait, I only remember to turn them on. I never wired the part that turns them off again. So every time I got hit and knocked back, I just never moved again. That's the kind of thing I'll revisit when polishing, but for now, the core behavior is there. In the bigger picture, this interface is basically one of the game's organs. Just like the ability selection system. It's a core thing everything else will plug into. This was and still is one of the most confusing systems that I have tried to build, only due to rereading at least 5 to 6 times what vectors do and how to push the character into the right direction. This devlog is on the shorter side, but we're going to reuse this system a lot in future episodes. HP bars, damage reduction and multipliers, hit detection improvements, and anything else that makes the combat feel smoother. If you like this kind of devlog where I actually show the systems behind the game, what problems I ran into, or maybe you're just curious if I can release the game, stick around. I'm going to keep breaking, rebuilding and creating this thing until I have fun playing it. And if you have any feedback to the game, logic, or the style of these videos, please let me know down below.